So, a while back when I reviewed Joanna Ghost Hunter, I very foolishly said that there didn't seem to be any other furry comics that explored the idea of supernatural investigations. The internet did what it does best and instantly produced a person that not only knows of another one, but had made it themselves. Well, alright, I will sit and eat my humble pie, but in the meantime, let's talk about the furry comic Debunkers. Standing at around 55 pages on Webtoons with some other content we'll talk about later, it follows the supernatural investigator, Nixie. Nixie is a seal and has by reputation gained the name the Debunker. She's been on upwards of 80 investigations, everything from local monsters to Bigfoot to aliens. One by one, she's proven each one of them to be false. Guys in masks, swamp gas, actors, she's seen the whole spectrum of fakes and coincidences. Of note is that Nixie is colorblind. Because of an accident when she was a child, she literally only sees things in black and white. Symbolism! Except for things that are supernatural in nature. That's an oddly specific ability for someone like her, but hey, I'm into it. I do love when comics cast a wide net like supernatural investigations. This keeps me from predicting the comic outright from the beginning. It could be ghosts, alien abductions, monsters, local legends, anything. It's very exciting and leaves a lot of potential for who or what Nixie could run into. The only thing is, Nixie has become a jaded cynic that doesn't believe in anything anymore. She is trying, she is desperate to get just a little glimpse of something from beyond the veil of the normal, but she's been burned so many times that it's made her lose hope. She doesn't even entertain the idea that something could be real anymore. She just starts picking things apart the moment she gets her hands on them. I feel like this is the fate of a lot of reviewers and internet personalities. You remember the ones. Guys whose entire gimmick was just to shit on everything they came across, no matter what it was, barely stopping to admire the work that went into it. A few names come to mind. Nixie has unfortunately hit that point in her investigational career. Enter her new sidekick, Avi. Avi is a white Vesper bat. His eyes are red, and Nixie can see that his eyes are red. He comes to her claiming that he is a vampire, begging for her help because he's newly embraced. He follows all the usual vampire rules. He's got the fangs, he has to be invited into places, he burns in the sunlight, he can't set foot on holy ground, etc., etc. He also has tears of blood. But, as I said, Nixie is already so far gone down the skepticism hole that she thinks everything about him is fake. She assumes that he's a runaway and takes him in to be her camera guy. The only thing is, Avi is telling the truth. He died. He is a vampire. He's not albino with his white fur and red eyes. He's dead. And there is nothing he can do to convince her that he's the genuine article. She offers for him to bite her over and over, but he refuses because he doesn't want to be a monster. After that, the two of them set off on a number of investigations together, Avi behind the camera, and Nixie doing all the talking and investigating. Anyway, I'll stop there as far as the story goes. I don't want to give everything away. It is of note, however, that at some point this comic changes formats. That's why I said 55 pages and some other content. The story goes from a traditional sequential art story with steadily improving artwork to a text block with character art format. Apparently, the author just didn't have the time to do the comic anymore, but wanted to continue the story nonetheless. So, from page 55 to roughly 130 or so, the comic morphs into a novella with artwork to go with each page to help you visualize what's going on. Yeah, you probably shouldn't change formats right in the middle of the story you're trying to tell. Your audience could get confused. What? Your mileage may vary with such a creative formatting decision. It's not my cup of tea, personally. With the last page being posted on November of 2020, I did a little poking around to find out what happened to the author. There was apparently some internet drama, and they didn't even want to look at this comic anymore. Such a shame, but also none of our business. I'm here to judge the comic on its own merits, not the authors or the events surrounding. I think it's safe to say that Debunkers has been laid to rest and there's not going to be any more. But that doesn't mean it isn't funny, entertaining, or not worth reading for inspiration. Nixie and Avi make for a great relationship as she obliviously navigates her way from investigation to investigation of real supernatural things. Avi is always trying to prove his vampirism to her without biting her and making her into a vampire. While 130 pages may not sound like a lot, the story is actually very dense and full of well thought out background lore. World building is sprinkled in via dialogue, talking about locations that they have to avoid, and real creatures that roam the land that they should not investigate. And while the story is never going to be finished, it does have several laugh out loud jokes and endearing characters. And that is a step and a half above what most officially published comics can brag about these days. I really sympathized with how much Avi was suffering and how far down the hole of cynicism that Nixie had fallen. While the comic does play both of them for laughs and jokes, the underlying layer of serious storytelling around them was actually quite impressive. I do hate to see such well-made projects like this one get abandoned. I went looking for the author's Twitter, DeviantArt, Tumblr, all the usual places. All of them are either wiped clean or deactivated. This person has all but disappeared from the internet as far as being a content creator for this comic and its characters. Real life can get in the way. It happens to webcomics all the time. The author just vanishes and they stop posting. But all that in mind, should you read Debunkers? Absolutely. It's funny, Avi is very endearing, we get to see all sorts of monsters and supernatural things, and the jokes actually made me laugh out loud several times. Wherever the author is, I hope they're living their best life because they sure knew how to make an entertaining comic. Check it out.